Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday's Co-preneurs Gathering. Thank you guys all for coming. I want to just appreciate and say thank you for coming tonight. This is going to be a new, unique event, actually, that we are starting to offer guest speakers to come on and teach us things and learn from each other. But I wanted to kind of make you guys understand really quickly, like, why this event was created. Actually, Christina and I sat about 6 months ago and we were like, entrepreneurship is hard. There's like so many things we have to learn, all these things we have to know, and building community. And it can be a really big challenge to learn everything. And I think it's not required for us to learn everything. So that's why we have to come together in community and learn from each other and partner up. So that's the intention behind this event, is so that we can have a space to share, to learn from each other, to connect, maybe even create collaborations, find clients eventually, all the things to make entrepreneurship easier is kind of what I want to help you guys with. So Lindsay is our co-host for tonight, and also Christina, thank you for creating Deepen. And we have Jamie from Deepen also helping us for the first time tonight. So real quick, before we introduce Lindsay, who's our co-host for tonight, just go around the room real quick, say your name and where you are. I think just to kind of get the energy flowing of who's here. So I'm going to start with Mike. You want to go first? Oh, yeah, there you go.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm in LA.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I love your backdrop you have there. I need to like work on my backdrop. It's pretty good.
It's like very Addams Family vibes. I'm actually at my parents' house at the moment.
Love it. Monica?
Hi, everyone. I am in Ontario, California.
Awesome. Also, if you guys want to change your name, click on the 3 dots in your video. You can change your name to your Instagram so people can find you if that's interesting for you. Yasmin?
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm currently in Las Vegas.
Awesome. Danielle?
Hi there, I'm Danielle. I'm currently in Topanga Canyon, Los Angeles.
Very cool. And Justin?
I'm Justin, and I am in Chicago.
Cool. Jamie?
I'm Jamie, and I'm in Orange County.
Cool. And Christina, I think you're...
I am Christina, and I'm in Annapolis, Maryland.
Awesome. And I'm Patrick. I'm your co-host for tonight. And I am currently in Tulum, Mexico. So I'm going to introduce Lindsay. She's a startup expert, helps companies grow and become successful. So I'm going to hand it over to her, and she's going to lead us through some exercises and all sorts of stuff tonight. So go for it.
Cool. So hi, I'm Lindsay, and I am in Philadelphia. So it seems like we're outnumbered on the West Coast, but it's also cool that we have a nice spread. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so you guys just see the slides, right? You don't see any of my notes?
Correct, yes. We're just seeing the
Awesome.
slides right now.
Cool. So, all right, so we're gonna jump right in. As Patrick said, like entrepreneurship is super hard, and sometimes we're overwhelmed with how to get started. I want to first just applaud all of you for showing up tonight despite the current events. Each of you has a unique perspective. That means that you can see problems that maybe others don't see. And just by showing up tonight, you're taking one more step to fixing those problems. And where there are problems, there are opportunities for us to solve them and hopefully make money and create good in the world. But it's super hard to think like about big problems like food waste and modern dating and finding inauthentic and fake items on e-commerce or what have you, when they seem so mammoth. So today I'm going to spend a quick like 10 minutes kind of giving you some context on how to think through your first steps strategically about like what is the thing and like how do you make sure the thing you offer is something people will love. Then we're going to do some more in-depth intros to talk about our passions and projects and connect more. Yes, and when we talk about our projects and what we're working on and our passions, we can also set some intentions. And then the rest of the time, we're gonna workshop how you go about analyzing your audience, the customers you want to serve, the people you want to serve, so that you can come up with product ideas continually and always and be innovative while also making sure that it's stuff that people actually want. Cool, any questions? I'll have the chat open, so if any of you want to shoot me a question, then I can do that. So let's just talk about like big picture about what I see everyone do when it comes to startups. At the beginning, we get super excited. We're on a high, everything seems possible. And then we kind of invest time and money into like building something. And maybe it's like buying branded merchandise and hoping that you can sell it, or it's investing $20,000 in software development. There's a lot of investment in between that. But once we kind of have that product, we realize that it's not really as easy as we thought to get people to buy things, right? So we have this high, and then it's followed by something super depressing. And I've been there. And what happens is like, entrepreneurship's already hard. Like, we're solopreneurs, we're working by ourselves. There's a lot of uncertainty and self-doubt anyway, but we also have had this like high and this crash. And then like maybe if we didn't exhaust all of our resources, we might hit some inflection point, product market fit, where everything starts to make sense and we're on an upward trajectory. But it's just like, why do we need to go on that adventure? You know, like there's better ways to go about this. So how do I know all of this to be true? Quick intro about me. I've been playing the startup game for 15 years. I started designing software in 2002 while studying engineering. I went to Silicon Valley in 2005 with a twinkle in my eye. I had big startup dreams. I did the startup blueprint, you know, top 5 of business plan competitions, hacking away on the weekends, looking for tech co-founders. But like, stuff didn't always work out. Like, I followed that startup blueprint, but I left Silicon Valley with my tail between my legs in 2010, thinking maybe I wasn't cut out for this. I was addicted though. I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. So I kept throwing myself at the proverbial wall, running up that ramp in American Ninja Warrior. And I finally caught the edge and got on top. And I kind of looked around and I was like, wow, I've been in this game for over 10 years. And like, we're still seeing 90% of startups fail. We're still seeing like entrepreneurs putting like their whole savings into something and then coming to crushing defeat, being like depressed about it and being let down. And like Silicon Valley is still kind of advertising this startup blueprint that like I tried and did not work and I had evolved, but like the rest of my innovation industry has not evolved. Okay. So this is where we're starting. Innovation is a process, but people really think it's like a thing, like you're Steve Jobs and you can put your finger up in the air, see which way the wind blows, and then say, everyone's gonna love an iPhone. That is not exactly at all what happened with Steve Jobs' innovation, and that's called the entrepreneurial creative myth. But the idea that it's a process means that each of you can learn that process and put it into action rather than, just hoping that you have some creative ingenue and everyone loves your idea. So like, how do we get from like all of our ideas in this vision to some like prototype or something that you can put out into the world to like start getting feedback? This is where like a lot of people get caught up because like we are scared that first thing won't go well, that people will judge us, that, it just won't work out. So we need to like have this process that I told you about. So this is the process, and I'm gonna try to go through it fairly quickly, but I have an example about the taco crawl and the taco industry. So let's assume we're starting on the left with all of our research. We did an expansive study of the taco space, and we found a lot of interesting facts that sales for tacos were down, even though the enthusiasm had increased in popular media. No one can agree on a good taco, and there's a division between taco purists and taco generalists. And ordinary people just don't know how to choose a great one, so they end up eating at Taco Bell and having terrible tacos. So all that research on your left, all those data points, we managed to synthesize it into this nice problem statement that cohesively describes what the issue is. And we can then see all of the different problems that we might address in this space, right? Whether it's the overproduction of corn or corn tortillas, or helping people choose better tacos, right? So in that list of problems, we've done all this research, we've done all this analysis, we've talked to a lot of people, we marinated in the problem, we stack those problems and then realize that there are some problems that need to be solved first before any of the other problems can be addressed. We just realized that there are too many great taquerias and people don't end up going to get tacos because of analysis paralysis. So if we could just help them eat more tacos, then we could address a lot of the issues in this space. All right, so I call this the real MVP. So forget about the minimal viable product. Think about the most valuable problem, because if you know what the most valuable problem is, then you can start to iterate on small solutions to that problem and build from there. So I'll give you an example. So when I met Allison, she was passionate about food waste and she was totally overwhelmed with the amount of problems that she could solve. But she was a private chef. She had tossed around a lot of ideas. She had founded 2 other companies. She didn't really see herself as an advocate, but you could tell that she was the right person to pursue this problem. There were just too many solutions out there. But she decided that she was going to focus on a very specific audience, which was young families like her, 1 or 2 children under the age of maybe 7, right? She knew that's where she could have the biggest impact. And we figured out that through all of our research, women, particularly the moms, were the ones doing all the meal planning, food shopping, and cooking. And we found that that process of finding recipes, creating a shopping list, getting to the grocery store, dealing with crying children, weighing their options between farm-raised and wild, conventional and organic, canned or fresh, the last thing that these moms have capacity to do is think, did I buy too much parsley, right? So Allison could be an advocate and try to teach people about food waste, but she wasn't going to have that big of an impact because her audience and the largest audience she could impact, they don't have the capacity. They don't have that ability to think about it in the moment at the grocery store, nor do they have time later in the week to figure out what to do with all the extra parsley that they bought. So what was that real MVP is if Allison could make the whole meal planning and shopping simpler with the added benefit of saving the planet by using up all the food they bought, then people would pay her. And that is what she does at Ends and Stems. She started with just PDF recipe, meal plans for an entire week in a regular general diet. Then she expanded to 3 meal plans, vegan, gluten-free, vegetarian, gluten-free, and a regular diet. And then once she was able to have people paying her for these meal plans, she could safely and confidently invest in building NAP, right? So, but by identifying that meal planning was really the thing that she needed to address, she had a much better starting point. And this is like what Allison did is really in line with this Seth Godin quote that I urge you all to like write down and think about, because a lot of reasons startups fail is that they build a product that no one wants, and then they have to find a customer that might want it. Don't find customers for your product, i.e. don't design a product and then try to back in to who your customer is. Find products for your customers. That means know your audience really, really well, then offer them products because you know them so well, right?
Right.
So, thank you. So with that most valuable problem, then we can brainstorm all of the ideas, the fun, creative solution finding part. We can consider like the competition, our unique like gifts, who our audience is, how they're solving the problem now. And by filtering through that, we have some bigger vision. Like Allison had a dream of this whole app with interchangeable recipes, but that was something that was going to take longer to build. So instead, she has to think of like, well, what is something that she could launch? And then what is something that she could design, like that minimal viable product? What is it something that she could design that like she could just test the hypothesis that meal plans that use up all the food that you buy is something that people would use and pay for, right? So I'll give you an example. I don't know if Christina is still with us. Christina and I actually had the opportunity to work together on Deepen. I've known her for 6 years before Deepen was even called Deepen. And after doing the research, she understood that many people still want to meet their person in person through community. And we brainstormed huge ideas. And the one that stood out was this idea for like class pass for dating events. And it would build like in-person community, and relationships could evolve naturally over time, as they should. But that's like a huge thing to go after. And you can imagine like that thing is like, oh, I need to find a CTO, or I need to raise $100,000 in funding to go do software development. And like, I don't want any of you to risk that much without testing some of your fundamental hypotheses and making sure that you have an audience that's interested in it. So really the first hypothesis was that like Christina had an audience because she was hosting events herself. She had people that like loved and adored her, and she was building a community around her. But in order to get to that bigger dream, she had to see if like people would go to events hosted by other people, me, Patrick, someone else, right? You don't need a whole technology platform to prove whether that could work, right? And so then she could iterate on like figuring out the full menu of events, then expand to like different event categories and different services that the community, you know, to build that community. And then maybe she'll get to that dream. Maybe that dream will change as it should as we learn and iterate. But you can see again, the way I talked about Allison, the way I talked about Christina, it's possible to iterate, even if your whole solution is something complex or technology driven. It's possible to start small so that you can continue to build community and an audience around you, keep listening to them, and keep delivering products to them based on what you learn. Any questions on that?
So many questions. I think that was excellent.
I can stop sharing for like a hot second so we can
yeah, let's chat about that.
Chat about it a little bit.
So thank you so much for that, because I think it's a really good introduction, because often people jump into entrepreneurship like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur and I have this great idea, but they don't really realize that there might not be a customer base for that product, right? So yeah, I think that's partly why I want to create this event and have these conversations where we can like figure out like, is there a product for what I want to build? Is there a need in the world for what I want to build? So yeah, open it up to anybody else that wants to share, and like, what are they working on? I think we have some Mad Libs we're going to go through too and share, but anybody want to?
But yeah, so like if anyone has any questions on the stuff that I shared just then, Otherwise, we can go to that Mad Libs and I can actually just share the Mad Libs in the chat so we don't have to share my screen.
Sure.
Those were great examples, Lindsay. I loved it. So keep going.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. Oh, sorry, Pat. I just texted that to you.
No worries. And a reminder, if anybody wants to change your name to your Instagram as well, so other people can find you. You don't have to, but I think it's a great way to connect with other people while we're in the event too.
So in the chat, I'm a huge fan of Mad Libs so that everyone knows what they should say in an introduction and none of us go on for too long. And I think it's easier to fill in a Mad Libs than try to come up with something out of our heads and feel on the spot. So if you want to take like a minute or two to jot down how you would introduce yourself using this Mad Libs format, then we can kind of go around the room. And I think one thing we want to add is what is your intention for this evening, which I think is a good piggyback on the last piece, which is your kind of number one question that you would love answered right now.
Yeah, so we'll take a few minutes to write this down. All right. We about ready? Does anybody want to go first? We just go around the room. Or I'll have to call on people.
I think because we see everyone in different orders, you might have to call on people.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to call on Dr. Nikki first. No?
No, can you call on someone? Normally
someone
I
else
have to
first?
go first.
Okay, all right, we'll go with someone else first. Danielle, would you go first?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll go first.
Okay.
Hi, my background is in education, technology, leadership. Also, the other side is dance, theater, movement, and embodiment. I'm focusing tonight, though, on specifically the education and technology side of myself. So I am currently founding an education technology platform that is a virtual micro school for the 21st century. So my target customer is transitioning homeschool parents that were before in private or public school, and because of the pandemic are changing their minds and are transitioning at this very moment.
Right.
And the problem that I'm solving for them is curriculum and assistance in the schooling process. So what I'm doing is we are doing both in person and virtual. So actually what's interesting as we're talking about that pivot, that's what I really resonated with, is right now I'm actually kind of in that pivot of testing the market. So I'm really looking at, do people need in person or do they need virtual? There's so much argument on both sides, and kind of which direction to start in is unclear. So I'm testing the market right now to see which one we really focus our attention on. And the question or my intention for these circles, it's, to have a community around being an entrepreneur and being able to just maybe have accountability, or if this continues on, something that's more long-term around a community, so that those days that I'm not maybe sure what direction to go in, that there's some support in the journey.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think the community, that's honestly why we're doing this, right? It's like, I recognize that entrepreneurs need a community. So that's why I want to create these spaces. And I think it's much easier for us to walk that path together. So thank you for sharing. Justin, do you want to go next?
Hi.
Hi there.
I have a background in marketing and events. I currently work as an integrated marketing director for a broadcasting company in Chicago. It's not actually why I'm here. More so, my brother and I have been kind of working on a passion project / potential brand on the side. And so we're just trying to explore. I'm not certain if I'm an entrepreneur or not. I'm an ideapreneur. I don't know if that's something.
Sure.
But I have just a bunch of ideas always. But I think my target, our target customers are, and this is something that we've recently we keep discovering and finding things all the time, but I think our target customers are people that believe that the path to change in the world is through personal growth.
I love that.
And the problem isn't yet defined because we haven't taken one of Lindsay's courses yet. But when that kind of problem statement came up, the first kind of things that started to come to mind were, people want to change the world, but don't know where to start. Changing the world seems like a monumental task. But also at the same time, people want to change themselves and haven't maybe necessarily found the right motivation, the right community, the right comfort, or the ability with being, to be vulnerable, maybe seem lost or fail at, and things like that. So that would be some of the problems in that space. And then the question that I have, which again, I think I'm probably a lot earlier in any entrepreneurial process, than most of you, but the question would be things like, does this purpose, resonate? Is there a leader in the space that you're familiar with or resonates? I'm familiar with people that do a lot of personal growth stuff. And I'm familiar with people that are activists or brands that are activists and want to change the world. But making that connection between the two, that, the smallest viable change in the world that you can make is through a change in yourself.
Yes.
And so is that, does that resonate? Is there something there? Is there other leaders in the market that we could, do some more research on?
Yeah.
My intention for the evening is to listen and learn as much as possible.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I promise you what you just said is needed in the world. It's where I've been living my life, honestly, is like, I think that community built around personal growth and development is one of the most powerful communities that exists, like that I'm part of. I went to Tony Robbins a lot. There's a company called Mind Valley that I go to, that I've been to Mind Valley University. And when people want to grow together, which is why you're all here and why this intention is to continue these conversations, there's something powerful that happens when that community gets created. So thank you for sharing. Jasmine, do you want to go next?
I'd prefer if someone else went because I needed to step away, so I'm just
Okay.
now getting back.
No worries, take your time. Monica?
Hi. Okay. I have a background in personal development, professional networking, community building, and social work. I currently do home care for elders as a part-time income. I like to invest more of my leisure time to build on my creative ideas to create other passive income. I think my target customers are students, elementary, K through 8. The problem I want to solve for them is to make distance learning fun and inspirational. And the question I would really like answered is, what types of research would I be looking to tap in first?
Okay. And what was your intention for being here?
Oh, my intention is to leave this meeting with having an action step, having 3 action steps that I get to do from now to the end of the month. Thank you.
Very cool, thanks. Beautiful, thanks for sharing. Adam, do you want to go next?
Sure. I've written, hi, I'm Adam, and I have a background in meditation. And day to day recently, I've been working on the scripts for my course, which is called Synchronicity Science. And my target customers are the HR managers or employee benefits administrators at companies that want meditation in their company culture. And they either have a wellness program already and they want to supplement, or they're looking to start something, but they know the value of corporate wellness, which is why their position exists. And so they're just looking for the right person. And I'm looking to be that match for them and to solve that problem of them looking for somebody who can deliver meditation without the spiritual bias, without the religious dogma, so that it's accessible in a corporate structure. And they know that they can count on reliable results, simple things that they can measure, that they can see over time. That's really, I believe, what they're looking for, and that there are the right ones out there. They're looking for that from me. And the question, I guess, that I've been struggling with is how to get their attention. I know they get solicitations coming across their desk. I've tried lead generation, I've tried cold emails, I've tried cold calls, all those things. And then my intention is just, I really love being in this community with you, Patrick, and meeting all your awesome friends like Lindsay, because we are doing this together. I feel inspired and I feel motivated being in the group. We're all working together. And so just my intention is to just be here with you all, and to see us, for us to see each other through, hold hands and get there together.
Awesome. Well, that hit my heart. Thank you so much for saying that, because I think it's why we have to do this. That's why we have to work together, because it's overwhelming to do it by ourselves. And your mission is very important, because I remember when I was living in New York City, getting up in the subway every day, like there's your mindset when you enter the office is like, so, right? By just getting to the office, your mindset is crazy. So if you spent 5 minutes meditating, which nobody ever talks about, there's many more things to it than that, obviously, but I think just meditating like for 5 minutes in the morning would be powerful for people. So, so thank you for that. So,
Adam, the second you started talking, I was like, yeah, this guy does meditation. he has the voice for it.
What's really cool is I developed this is a trade secret, so just between us, I developed the meditative tea, right? And it sounds like this. The perfect moment If you hear that little tap at the end of my tongue, there's a meditative tea bubble. So feel free to use that when you're.
Awesome.
I feel like, Justin, if you go forward with that podcast, you should have Adam on your podcast.
Meditation is a huge part of my personal growth. I can tell you that much.
For sure.
Cool.
It's been like, that was honestly the start for me. Like just meditating just gets you started. Then you're like, oh, there's other stuff and other stuff. But
yeah,
it can be very much the lead in for people. So thank you.
It's also like if you have only calm minds can be happy, and only happy minds can be creative. And then only creative minds can be innovative and solve the world's most challenging problems.
I love that.
Hold on, I need to quote. Is that a Lindsayism?
No, I took it from like a Buddhist meditation I was in. So you can quote me, but like maybe
could you type it in the chat for us? That would be great.
Okay, sure.
So Nikki, would you go next, please?
Thank you.
I'm Nikki. I help people with a few different things. I've narrowed it down to getting clear on your purpose, and then getting rid of the limiting beliefs holding you back, and boosting your confidence, all using a clicker. I use a clicker to reprogram your subconscious. So my intention would be to get clear on who I'm talking to, because there's two different groups, and I keep jumping between the two of them. So that's the first thing that I need to really hone in on. In one way, I want to work with people that don't realize they've been successful, but they still feel unfulfilled, and they want to find their purpose. And another, but I don't know if those are necessarily the people that need like confidence boosting because they're successful entrepreneurs, versus I really love the self-sabotaging, the limiting belief kind of work, and getting into the confidence work.
Yeah. So we'll definitely answer those questions for sure.
Okay, good. Thank
you and I both resonate in limiting beliefs. I love talking about that. I'm actually speaking at her event, Nikki's event here in Tulum in about a week and a half. So limiting beliefs are everything, because everything about our life is beliefs to get started with, I think. So thanks. Jasmine.
Hey, I have a background in performing arts and spiritual and mindfulness practice in cultural policy and in community building. And I'm currently working on transformational coaching and curriculum development. I think my target customers or clients are people similar to what's been shared, eager to have major shifts in how they think and feel in their personal and professional practice and creative expression. And the problem I want to solve for them is getting out of their heads and into their bodies, out of subconscious patterns and limiting beliefs, and into empowered conscious living connected to their spirit. The question I'd really like answered is how I've been in this space of navigating outreach and approach to outreach in such an oversaturated market, and just in the web of magnetizing the perfect clients that will really gain the most from my work, and that I could serve in the longer term client coach relationship. And my intention is gaining insight on the journey of entrepreneurship, just generally hearing about as it's relating to marketing and outreach specifically, but also just like the different stages of the process and different perspectives and outlooks on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a journey, and like if we don't have the support from a community, I think it gets really hard. So why we're all here. So thanks for joining. Mike, would you like to go next? Man, you changed your background. It's even better.
Well, my computer was running out of battery, so I had to move. But yeah, definitely more. Yeah,
it's like a whole like library vibes. I love it.
Yeah, one quick anecdote. So just on the topic of community, I'm married, and often my wife is kind of the recipient of hearing about what's going on in my business, and just kind of like, hey, this happened now, and obviously like boundaries are very important for delineating that. And we were just talking about 2 hours ago, like finding like a group like this, like finding like-minded entrepreneurs. And I remembered seeing something on the Deepen site last month about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder when like the next Co-preneurs thing was happening. And it's like, oh, it's happening in 2 hours. Cool.
That's awesome.
So, really cool timing. So yeah, my background, I have a business background, MBA. I've worked in business development in entertainment industry, real estate industry. I've always wanted to do something entrepreneurial, never really specific about what that was. And then about 2 years ago, I quit my job, sold everything. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, we left on a year-long trip around the world, kind of like a spiritual quest. Came back from that thinking like, okay, what's next? Still want to do something entrepreneurial, went down various rabbit holes, and came up with this idea for an apparel company. And I launched this apparel company this year. It's called Bonti, and it's globally inspired apparel for your everyday adventure. So yeah, it's been a really fun, exciting, yet sometimes crazy journey doing this. My target, it's people 30 to 50, people who travel, who are on a who have spiritual seeking inclinations, burners, that kind of crowd.
Yep.
And the launch was really good. A lot of friends and family and friends of friends supporting the business and everything. And now, like month 3, everyone's bought a jacket at this point that I know. Everyone's done, like people I know, and now it's like, oh wow, I have to like really sell this to people outside of my influence. Great.
Right.
So yeah, just really like trying to figure out like what's the best strategy. Is it influencer outreach? Is it Facebook ads? All kind of like the nitty gritty, and it's going not as fast as I'd like, or not, I'm not getting the results that I'd want so quickly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just like finding these people that I think the brand and the apparel would really resonate with, because once like people buy that or wear the jackets, wear the clothing, like they're really into it. But it's like everyone who's on Instagram and Facebook is getting hit with ads all the time. It's like a really crowded market. Yeah. Marketing apparel, plus we're in a pandemic. It's like it's a little tougher for that too. So yeah, that's that's kind of the roadblock. It's like, how do I find this? And because part of it's also like tapping into like the wisdom gained from traveling and having these experiences, and like that's kind of what I want the value proposition of Bonti to be, is like this totem to tap back into that.
Yeah.
So my intention, kind of similar to what everyone said, is connecting with like-minded people who are also in the trenches right now, to not only support each other, which I think is super important. So like not having to throw all that on your personal relationships, to have like a business support group who's kind of in the trenches with you, and then also people to share resources, share tips, even though we might not all be in apparel or tech or whatever, but there's going to be similar strategies that work for all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
My first business was in e-commerce, so
cool.
I can feel you.
Yeah,
sweet.
And for all that apparel, you might want to get on a flight to Tulum. There's a lot of people down here where I am right now that would probably love what you're doing.
I think so. Yeah, I had some friends who were down there, and they're like, "Yeah, you should send some stuff down here." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, I mean, We'll talk when I get back to Miami. We can send some stuff and we can put some stuff on Co-preneurs Gathering. We'll figure it out. So, so thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad you found it 2 hours before the event. So good synchronicity to be here. So thanks. Jamie, want to go last?
I guess I'll just share my intention.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not an entrepreneur, but I guess just here to, I just started at WeDeepen, so learn more about what this company does, and I've attended a couple events, and I love it, and I want to attend every event, and listen to your guys' ideas and help in any way I can.
Very cool. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping assist tonight. So we're about to hand this back over to Lindsay. She's going to walk us through an exercise. We're going to go until about, I guess it's 8:15 here on the West Coast, 3 hours earlier. Yeah, like for me, like I'm doing this on the same path. Like I was a software engineer, and then I just kind of like got to the point where I was being a community builder. And I wanted to build community and make it easier for people to go down this path, because it's been a big challenge for me. So my intention for all of you guys of being here is like, I want what took me 4.5 years to start running events like we're doing right now, do that in 6 months, if that's what you want to do. Like just make everything faster and more streamlined. And then like it took me 4.5 years to build the community I have. So also make that easier for all of you. So handing this back over to Lindsay now.
My intention is also to make your entrepreneurial journey easier than mine. So now that I've given you guys like the 1,000-foot view of how to think about research and coming up with ideas and product development, one of the fundamental things in there is that we need to talk about customer segmentation and getting it right. Our first goal is to find a customer segment that experiences the problem so acutely and so painfully that they'd be interested in joining us as we search for the right solution. So not that they would like our first solution, but they would actually co-design our first solution with us. And that takes a special type of person. So if you've like been in business meetings or webinars, you probably like have heard about market segmentation, and that there's some idea of like this big market, this available market, and like your target market. But I want you to understand that like target market is still like way too big for product development. Okay. So, and I say this in the context of like any of you that might be working on technology products that are trying to get investment dollars. Investors want to see like big target markets, but like you have to be able to give them those numbers and then also have an action plan that addresses something much, much, much smaller. Okay. So why is it so important to be specific? This is what I kind of often hear is like something like my customer is a female in their 20s or 30s, or my customer is anyone that cooks, or my customer is all parents with infants, or how about this example, like my customer is a male business owner from 35 to 65. And some of you had descriptions that were like this loose, but like this is a male business owner, and this is a male business owner, and this is a male business owner. Are we talking to them all of the same way? Like if we had to craft an Instagram post, could we craft one Instagram post that connects with all of them? We can't. That's too difficult. We can't talk to all of these guys at the same time. Okay. Let me give you another example. My audience includes women 25 to 45 that live in an urban environment and love yoga. Well, that's a woman yoga lover, and that's a woman yoga lover, and that's a woman yoga lover that all live in like urban environments. Are they the same? Yes or no? Can we like sell them the same shirt, sell them the same meditation program, or do they perceive the benefits and value the same way? Are we specific enough about the type of yoga right? Like what other things can we pull out? All right. So we have to find the people that are able and willing to use your product, be okay with it not being perfect. It doesn't have all the features. Maybe it has some bugs, or like your clothing line is limited, but they love what you're doing, so they will sing your praises at the same time. And that's a really, really tall feat. So how do we define this person? Okay. They're called the Early Evangelists. I did not coin this term. It's the early adopter and the evangelist. So early adopter is someone that tends to try products very, very, very early. And they tend to also tell all their friends about the things that they have tried and enjoyed. So someone that will try something super, super early is going to go move their way up this triangle. And this is the framework that I want you to think about when you think about your audience. Okay, let's talk about, I like cigarette smoking because this is like the easiest to explain this as a problem, okay? Anyone that smokes has a problem because they smoke, right? But there's plenty of people that don't care and don't listen. So there's some smaller segment that is actually aware of the fact that cigarette smoking is a problem for them, right? Is causing problems. But not every cigarette smoker wants to quit, right? There's only some cigarette smokers that are like, oh, I should quit. So we need to leave behind the people that are smoking and don't care to quit, and only think about the people that are smoking and want to quit. And then there's the people, a smaller segment, that have tried so many other things, so many of the things on the market that they've been unhappy. And they've come up with something that works for them that's kind of like a hacked DIY solution, okay? Because those people are aware that they have a problem, they are looking for a solution, and they don't like anything on the market, which is how they're gonna figure out that you have something really great for them, right? So the smallest segment at the top is the person that has the money to pay for your solution, and your solution is just this much better than what they can do for themselves, okay? So I wanna just go back though, sorry guys. It's really important that we at least get to this level in defining our segment, okay? This is why. Some of you are talking about, well, like, how do I reach these people? Do I get influencers? Do I advertise? Like, do I put money into marketing? And the thing is that as a small company very early on with limited revenue, we also have a limited marketing budget, okay? So we don't want to spend that money trying to educate people about the problem so that they will then consider looking for a solution and then learn that no solution is good and you are the answer, right? It's much, much easier to sell your solution to people that are already actively looking, okay? So you need people that already are aware that they have a problem and are actively looking. Because I often hear from entrepreneurs that they're like, but what if my audience doesn't know that this is a problem? And I'm like, well, that means that you're starting with the wrong audience, okay? And just like supplant problem with like opportunity or like thing that makes them feel good, okay? So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna give you some examples, and then we're gonna workshop that early evangelist model for what seems to be like an audience member that a lot of you are trying to hit, which is someone that's eager to shift in like their personal growth or looking for improvement in their personal growth. So let me just give you some examples of an early evangelist. Okay, so one of my clients has this really great light bulb called bedtime bulb, and it is a blue light canceling light bulb. So he came to me and was like, who should I market to? And we had 3 hypotheses. We're like nurses who work night shifts, new moms, and then like the keto quantified self audience or paleo's quantified self Whole30 audience. Okay. Nurses were taking all sorts of drugs and just using blackout curtains. Moms, when thinking about the problem of sleep and that they weren't sleeping, were not searching for light bulbs. They were searching how to put their child to bed and get their kid to sleep through the night. So we weren't going to be able to convince them to buy a light bulb, right? Until we had more money to spend on marketing. But the quantified self audience that's listening to all these podcasts and like trying out all of these Internet of Things devices, they were going to spend money on like a $13 light bulb if we told them that like, you've tried all these vitamins and they haven't worked, let's try this light bulb, right? Okay, so that's what I mean by like triaging your audience and figuring out who's actually looking for a solution, but like not only looking for a solution, looking for a solution in the category of your product, your offering, okay? Another example I have is a client of mine who offers deep college financing analytics. Like every parent except for like the uber wealthy are trying to figure out how to get their kids into college and figure out which colleges that they can afford. But there are certain types of parents that we saw that are heavily involved and like have spreadsheets and shared calendars and to-do lists and post-it notes with their kids, extremely organized, love spreadsheets. And like those are the parents we are giving our first product to and targeting and using their input to design the solution. And then finally, Gives is a platform for like peer-to-peer payments, but with nonprofits. So you can set up a bank account and pay multiple nonprofits all in a few minutes. You don't have to like fill out every like address form for every single nonprofit. It's really awesome. But it's like most people donate, right? So like something throughout the year. So like what's the inflection point of when we ask people to sign up for Gives? Like when's the right time to put Gives into the market? You know, and so one of the things we realized is that like junior board members have to raise $1,000 to $5,000 to keep their board seat, and their friends are just shoving dollars in their pockets at a bar event. They're Venmoing money. They're just doing whatever they can to skip filling out the form. So if we could get the junior board members to get their friends to use Gives, then we are acquiring like one junior board member. For every one junior board member, we get 25 to 50 new users, right? Cool. All right. So now I want to like go through this activity, but before I do, does anyone have any questions? Does this like all this is this like landing with you guys? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate the positive feedback and the nodding and smiling. So let's use the example of let's use the example. I wanted to start with someone like that has, we thought, it seems like a lot of you want to like access people that are eager to make shifts in their careers or their personal lives.
Personal growth, personal life.
Throw in there, like, give me a little more detail about the type of person. Let's talk about that person. Who are they? What are they up to?
Can we stop sharing for just a second so we can see something?
I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
So 2 different genres. One was the affluent entrepreneur who's been successful but still finds himself unfulfilled and wants to do something that has more impact and serves more of his purpose. The other, do you want two or you want to just stick with one?
You can say your second one, that's fine.
Okay. The other one is someone that has a dream. Maybe they need a little bit of clarity, but they kind of get where they want to go, but they're being held back by limiting beliefs, and they for some reason they're procrastinating. They're doing like the typical behaviors that don't help them thrive, and so they need a little confidence boost, and they need to let go of those limiting beliefs.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pare that down and say, okay, we have, let's actually put that person in a full-time job. Okay. They're in a full-time job and they have dreams and aspirations and they want more impact, but they don't know which way to go. Okay. Or they're just like, we'll start at the base. Like they're unhappy and they know that there's something out there that's more fulfilling for them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to share again. All right. Let's throw out like some basics. I put them out there. Let's like general age range or education. Like what kind of person has the problem of being unfulfilled at work? Is that just like everyone or only a certain type of person?
I think.
Going?
If you want to, go for it.
Sorry, did I just interrupt you?
No, I was just going to say real quick, and then I'll let you share. Just like for me, it was, I'd been in the workforce for 5 years, and then I realized I wanted to do something more than what I was currently doing.
Okay, so like the person probably hasn't been working for just 3 months. They've been working for like at least a year to realize that they are unhappy at work, right? Yeah.
And I think that I would just say that they also have to have a certain level of, success in order to kind of taste that fruit of what it could be to be better. Like it's not necessarily like the hourly employee situation. They've had a certain level of fulfillment to be able to know what that feels like, but to also know how much more they might be missing.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting into like the type of person that would be aware of that problem. They've been like working for at least a year. They have general ambition. They like we could say everyone hates their job, right? It's like everyone's at the bottom. Anyone that's working for other people has this problem, but only people that have been like working long enough have had some success that wasn't rewarded in a way that made them feel good. What makes them more likely to be aware that they they really don't like their job and it's like a problem?
I would say some sort of
who might not have this problem at all.
I was going to say that somebody that hasn't had growth in their job would be a natural candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone that feels stifled.
Yeah, and somebody that's seen that there's a possibility outside of what they currently are doing, that they know that this type of life is possible, and that's not the life I have right now.
Yeah, so we might say these are broad stroke assumptions, but like someone that's has had very narrow life experiences might not feel this problem or be as aware of this problem because they're not as aware of all the possibilities outside of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. So then what kind of person is I remember going on a date with a guy in 2012 and he was like, I've been working at this company for 7 years. It's okay. It was very uninspiring to hear that. It's okay, right? So he obviously is not too enthusiastic about his career, but he's not really looking for a solution. So what separates the person that's this is life and work is just work. It's just a job and I'm going to keep punching my time card, versus someone that's like, there's got to be something better than this. I need something better than this. I'm going to start looking.
I think it's like they need a feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't want to be doing this every day. And the amount of times they've woken up and not wanting to do that every day, then finally it's like, okay, I'm gonna make a change to do something different.
Sometimes I also feel like there's a little bit of like, sometimes it's a life event that happens. You know, like whether it's, you know, kids or a relationship or a breakup in a relationship, it's kind of one of these things where you put yourself into a self-reflection mode, and then once you analyze, you realize some of these things.
Yeah, like certain behaviors that could help us identify that this is a person that's actively looking for a solution. They might be in Facebook groups asking like, hey, I'd like love to do some informational interviews with people that have other jobs, or maybe they're just like, maybe I just need to update my resume or update my LinkedIn. Maybe they're like, should I go back to school? And what kind of things might we see this person doing that would let us know that they were looking? And like, maybe like what kind of job would they be in? Do you think they'd be in like a highly competitive market where like they know that there's plenty of other jobs that they could try? Or do you think it's somewhere else?
I mean, I feel like I'm jumping in here a lot, but part of me feels like this is the, you know, the industry or something about the job is unfulfilling unto itself in order to be able to cause that person to say, well, I'm not fulfilled here. Now I need to search elsewhere.
Okay. So we could start to have hypotheses about different customer segments that we can divide up now. We can say someone that is only like a year or two into their job and at a fairly like beginner level, right? And they're like, should I go back to school or should I look for other work? I'm not sure what my passion is. Or you could have someone that like just went through a divorce and is looking to just like change everything in their lives. So they're looking for a solution. You could have people like maybe someone that's just was just fired and was like, sees this as like a new lease on life, right? So now we have like 3 different kind of segments. Okay, so let's take the like person who maybe is 5 or 6 years into their career, got married, realized that wasn't the right thing to do, and now they're looking for a new like lease on life. Who would be like go a step further and be like, hey, like talking to like a resume coach, rewriting my resume, fixing up my LinkedIn, like what are the things that they're finding on the market that aren't working for them?
I think there's a lot of like advice out there is like, okay, well now I'm just going to go into, I've done all this work and I know XYZ, so I might as well find another job in XYZ that's going to make me fulfilled or like just to change. Yeah. When that thing that they were doing is, yeah, I mean, you can still take the experience into the next thing, but they don't want to be doing that thing anymore. They want to be doing something else because life is short and they want to do something else with it.
So you might have someone that's like 5, 6 years into their career. They're going through some major life changes, including wanting to like change their job and question everything that their adult life has been founded on. And they don't like just the general advice of like, well, make a lateral move to another company. Yeah. You know, they don't like the advice of like sit on this LinkedIn webinar and like learn how to like make your profile better.
Right.
Or just like pay this resume coach. So like, what do they end up doing on their own? What kinds of behaviors do we see them doing that is like, I'm not satisfied with the basic advice on the market, so I'm gonna push further?
I think some people like book a trip. They go and like, okay, well, I'm getting inspiration. That's how the founder of GoPro started. He's like, I'm going to quit and do this for 6 months and just see what happens.
So then they do something radical.
Do something radical. Yeah, that's probably true.
Right. So maybe our first hypothesis of a segment is someone that's done something radical, major life change, fairly like moderately into their career, major life changes, looks out on the market, doesn't like anything that they see, and decides to do something totally radical. And maybe like me, I quit my job and traveled for 6 months, and I didn't come up with a new answer when I got back in 2010. So then it's like, well, who's going to help me, right?
Yep.
I know we're like strapped for time, so
yeah, we can still go another 15 minutes.
Okay.
So if that's okay with you, we just have to be off by about 8:30 so that they can get ready for the next event. So.
Okay. So I know like I've done a lot of like, and with the help of Justin and Patrick, but like, does anyone have any questions or still feels like challenged in how to think through this for themselves?
I'd ask what the next step are. Like now we've like kind of identified who they are. And really, those are really great questions to like be like, oh, well, now I kind of know, like you're speaking to me, honestly, and you're speaking to you, I think, similarly, because it's the previous version of ourselves, because we all took this massive leap. And I think it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs do go through. But I'd love to know other people's opinion too.
That actually hits home what you said, Patrick, because I'm like looking at this, what I want to create, and I actually like mentioned like my focus is my target is students, but it's also the parents of these kids that I see. Like for me, the problem I wanted to solve is disconnection with the parent and the kid being overly stressed, and this new social learning and via computer, and it's like it's so new. But what you said hit home right now is like, well, I'm nervous of jumping into this business model that I'm trying to create. Well, then how, I feel that it's like, yes, I have to be in alignment with me in order for me to connect with that parent or that stress environment of, parent and kid.
I know you were saying, like, was it you that said you wanted to know what your action steps were?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can share my screen again and answer that. Okay, so before I share my screen, first you want to try to look at your audience and come up with like at least 2 or 3 hypotheses about who the early evangelist is. Think about the people that you're trying to like serve. And in your case, Monica, I will give you this easy answer right away, is like the kid's not going to use anything without the parent's permission.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's the parent.
100% be taught to the parent, right?
Yeah.
So you want to start to think about, what would a parent with this problem be asking the internet? Right? Like, what would they search into Google? What questions would they be posting on Facebook for me to like identify that is a person? And if I could just throw out there as a Facebook post or emails to friends, like, hey, do you know any parents that are navigating at-home schooling right now and are having fairly large problems and frustrations with it? Can you introduce me to them? Right? Okay, so do you know anyone at a company that is really progressive and has a lot of HR benefits for their employees, right? If that's Adam's example, right? I would like to talk to their HR managers to understand how they make purchasing decisions and their sales cycle, okay? So first step is make 3 hypotheses about who you think that earliest segment is going to be. Okay? The second step is to go find those people, right? So asking in Facebook groups or your own Facebook posts, emailing people, starting with friends and family, but then you want to go beyond friends and family, because friends and family will all buy a jacket, but like, will they promote you and sell you to other people? Well, we can't rely on that. So we want to talk to strangers that can give us unbiased opinion. Now it's like, well, what do we talk to them about? Like, what questions are we asking? The tendency is for most people to think about it, and this is where I'll share my slides. The tendency is for most people to treat those calls as a sales pitch. Okay? You guys are seeing my slides, not my writing, not my notes, right?
Yep.
Okay. We tend to like treat it like a job interview or sales call. So we like pitch our idea and then try to get feedback. But like, we haven't yet validated that this person is even in the market for our product. So we really don't want to get feedback on our product from someone that wouldn't actually buy it. Because if we update our products and services based on feedback from people that wouldn't buy it, listen to us, use us, whatever, then we're building an unmarketable product, right? We only want to listen to people that are actively looking for a solution. So we need to ask questions to get there. And that's why the last bullet point says, this is not a job interview where you are selling yourself. This is a first date where you are listening to them like everything they say is the most important, most fascinating person you have ever heard of, right? All of their problems are really painful, right? Mm-hmm. Everything they've tried didn't work, and that sucks for them. Like, you want to empathize with them and be on the same page with them. You are a therapist. You are not a salesperson, okay? You are not injecting your opinion. If you talk to the person for 30 minutes, they should be talking for 25 and you should be talking for 5. And those 5 minutes are you asking questions, not inserting your opinion, not offering your solution, but asking like open-ended questions to understand who they are. Okay, so these are the types of questions, right? So can you tell me about a time you and your kid got into a massive fight in the middle of the day while they were teaching, while they were supposed to be in class? What did that feel like? Who did you call first? What did you go search online? We want to know like where they go to look for a solution, because when we have a solution, we want to be there, right? So if they're like, okay, I went and listened to a podcast on Apple Podcasts, that might give us an idea of how we might reach our customer, right? Or if they're like, yeah, I went into Google and I just searched this, or I went into this Facebook group and I asked this question. Well, we want to know those things. Then we want them to describe what they did to solve that problem, right? And we want to figure out why that solution didn't work, because we want to build a solution that solves just that little extra problem, right? What solution did you try? What parts of it worked? What parts of it didn't work? For every part that it didn't work, for every part that worked, we want to offer that. For every part that didn't work, we want to fix that in our solution, okay? What other solutions have you considered? What are these DIY things? What do you think you still need? All right. A lot of exploratory questions. Is anyone, these are like some more specific questions and then how I adapted them. But it's like, could you describe a time you experienced this problem? That's like a grand tour, mini tour question on the upper right-hand corner. So with like Allison, it's like, can you describe your family's typical weekly schedule? How do you go about meal planning? Would anyone like me to like spitball how I would adapt these questions to their audience?
Sure.
Give it to me.
Wait, what do you want me to tell you?
Okay, so like you want people that have also traveled or are like worldly global citizens, right? And then you want to know what brands they shop, what they buy online, what pieces they're still frustrated that they can't find.
Right.
Like what big brands, what small brands they shop, where do they go, how do they learn about new products?
Yeah.
Okay. What's their relationship? Well, like, so for you, and I can tell you from my own e-commerce experience, like with being a new brand is that like a lot of people, even though they've all moved online right now, still are really hesitant to shop brands that they don't know how they fit. So like you need people that are looking for products and are willing to buy small brands that they don't know and take that risk.
Right.
So you really want to ask around their shopping habits, their styles, where they look, who they follow, right? Like you can't pick an influencer to pay if you don't know the exact customer segment and the type of influencer they respect, or if they even respect influencers.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Does that give you an idea?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thanks.
Anyone else?
I can go next with with my coaching clientele. So I have it framed right now as like 25 to 35-year-old college educated women who are ambitious and feeling who are socially conscious as well, and feeling stuck and ready to make a big leap, but nervous with their next steps in their life, and who have the expendable income to be able to invest in their own self-improvement.
Okay, so
and I'm kind of going back and forth between BIPOC because I've had clients that are white, and then I've had clients that aren't white, and I know that makes it more of a specific audience, and so yeah, I'm just throwing that out there as well.
So I mean, for you, like it's fairly specific, although you could probably, like, given the fact that they have to have money to spend, they have to have the type of job that and be in a city where their income is higher than their living expenses. So you could probably get a little more specific in like what types of roles they might be in, like a eco-conscious person that finds themselves marketing for Campbell's soup might get depressed, right? Like there's something like that. So understanding like what the interests would be or the industries they would be in could help you separate and narrow down. But then it's really going to come to like finding those women and then understanding the nuances of like what problem they're trying to solve. So like if they sit down at Google to type something in, what's the problem they're trying to solve? Because some of them might just be like, I want to find my same marketing role at an eco-conscious clothing brand, right? Whereas others are like, I'm scared to change my job because I don't know what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, that's what it would be leaning toward, like people who are not necessarily like living in their passion. So I'd gone back and forth between it being specifically art related industry people, because I don't know if this is like a misconception just based off of my own life experience that a lot of people in that age range don't have that expendable income, like the majority of people who are artists versus people who are in different fields. But it's a lot of the work is in living more in the creative expression for people who feel like they've been deprived of that in their life.
Yeah.
So we have to end, but thank you all for sharing. I didn't want to cut you off so quickly. I apologize, but this conversation can definitely continue. So I just want to thank Lindsay for being here. Lindsay, how do we find you? I think you have a program coming up, so they can like find you and learn more about you.
Yeah, so in my name is my Instagram _Lindsay T_. And if you go there right now, there's a link. I'll be hosting my product market fit webinar like 5 times at the end of January. And it's funny and really informative. So I would highly encourage you to sign up for that to learn more about how I help help and work with clients, but also I bust the 3 myths that entrepreneurs need to stop believing in order to be successful and avoid the 90% failure rate. And it's going to give you a much better idea of the entire journey, not just these smaller steps in the middle.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Does anybody want to say anything any final words? We have a couple minutes.
I would love to well, I want to share some of the upcoming Deepen experiences, but before I do that, I would just love everyone to hear from each person of what they want the group to know before you leave. Is there anything that you want other people in this space to know or share before we exit?
I
had one final thing, but I don't want to take up space.
No, please go.
I know it's scary to niche down to be really small. I resisted for a long time saying that I wanted to specifically help female non-technical founders to design and build the right product, because Silicon Valley is all men, right? But I did that, and I still attract male clients. I still attract technical people. But it's just simplified my branding and how I talk to people. And it's made it easier for me to process feedback. So if someone that's definitely not my target gives me feedback on my branding or how I present myself, I don't need to care so much, okay? So I know it's scary, but to niche down is to really simplify your life, your branding, your marketing efforts, and everything that you do. And as you make more money, you can then expand because you have more resources, okay?
Yeah. I want everybody to know that there's a lot of people here that want to help other people be successful and move into a different part of their life. And I'm very much on the same page. That's why I'm doing all this. So I just want you to know that the world needs you to do that. The world literally needs you to do that. There's a lot of things happening in the world that we don't need to discuss right this minute, that we just need other people to help other people be successful right now and step into their power. So there's always room for more personal development. There's always room for more other people to share this knowledge and make people feel connected. So that's what I want you guys to know. Anybody else want to share anything they want us to know? Awesome, guys. So we're going to do another one of these next month. First Wednesday of the month. We'll let you guys know through email when that's going to happen.
That's February 3rd?
Yes, February 3rd. And there is another event, Mind Sports, coming up. I'm also going to be hosting, if you guys are interested in working on your Instagram and personal brand, offering a sale on a 2-week 5 Zoom session call. So look at my Instagram, patrickfarrell.life. It's also that's also my website, and I'd love to help you guys on your journey. I just thank you all for being here. And if you guys are interested in or need more information, want to do more of these events, reach out to me on Instagram and we'll make more stuff happen. Maybe at some point, if this grows enough, we'll have to do 2 of these a month. We'll see how it goes. So
I can't wait till we have one happening in a week.
That would be great. Let's make it happen. So
I'd love to just share some up and coming experiences just real quick. As Patrick did say, in 30 minutes, if you want to come back on Zoom, we're having a conversation, thoughtful discourse on the lockdown. It's opening versus closing at Mind Sports. And I'm texting back and forth right now with the Washington, D.C. senator who is aiming to get out of the Senate meetings to come and be with us. He's scheduled to be with us this evening. So it's going to be a really fascinating discussion. We actually started the discussion in Clubhouse yesterday, which is anyone on Clubhouse yet? Who's on Clubhouse? I saw Nikki, I saw you join today, I think. Okay, so Clubhouse is a new app. I imagine you all will be there soon. And we're doing a daily discussion there every day at 4 p.m. You can come and tune in. It's WeDeepen Daily, and you can ask advice, gather, meet each other, go deeper. We'll have pre-conversations before future events. But last night we did start talking about the lockdown and opening versus closing, and led into all the things with the senator, which was interesting to do with somebody who is there right on the ground. And then a couple more just quick up and coming ones is this Sunday is Hum Conscious Dating Salon. It's a place to come if you happen to be single and you want to come, and it's any sexual orientation is open, but come and use it as a state of practice. No expectations, release all those and come for an authentic relating experience. It's really fun. We do breakout rooms, you get to go deeper. So that's happening Sunday morning. So you can start your day there. And then second, on Monday night, we are launching Kosh codes again. We used to do this live experience in the Los Angeles area with Daniela Gill, who's an Akashic record reader. It's sort of like an Abraham Hicks type event where you can come and you can bring all types of questions and receive clarity. And when you listen to other people ask their questions about work, love, life purpose, money, Danielle channels, and she tends to give you answers. Whatever she speaks, whatever other questions are asked, tend to bring answers to you too. So check out those experiences at WeDeepen.com and register and come join us. And I'd love to see you when you guys get on Clubhouse, or if you're on Clubhouse, come. We'll be there tomorrow and the next day at 4, and continuation at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I want to add real quick, I done the cash codes in the group and it was really, really powerful. Yeah. I really got a lot of insight. And I look forward to it. I'll sign up for the hum. You got me. I'm curious, so I'll go.
Cool. Amazing. Yeah, it's bonds build best over time. So when we get to see each other again and again, even it's in this digital space, but we can build these connections. And then when we come back to be together in real life, I can't wait to throw like a Deepen festival and be like, yes, we are back and together. You're going to receive a survey following this. So I'm going to release it. It's going to enter into your inbox. It's going to come from Zoho Survey, or it's a Zoho survey. It's going to come from Deepen, but that's going to come to your inbox, and it would be super helpful if you can complete that survey so we can learn from your experience here today. It was actually Lindsay's accelerator program that Deepen came out of, and she taught us how to get all the surveys and everything set up there. So that's going to come out. You should be proud of us, Lindsay. We got it going. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. I think we have to end right now. We had an 8-minute buffer, but really appreciate all of you guys for being here. I will see all of you at the next event, hopefully in a month, and we will talk soon.
And this recording will be up on YouTube too, if you need to come back for notes or any things that you saw here too.
I'm going to share this. So see you all later. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.